Welcome to another episode of Active Aging. I'm your host, Danielle Procopio, and I'm very excited that today we are joined by probably a familiar face, Vince Bavacqua. Vince and his sons have decided to start a company called Family Tech Connect. I cannot be more excited to share this service with you. I know it's a service that a lot of our residents are excited about here at Shepherd of the Valley. They've had a lot of questions about tech over the ages, and now finally Vince and his team is ready to answer them. So Vince, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming today.
Hi, Danielle. Thanks for having me. Really glad to be here.
Of course. So, some of our viewers might recognize you, Vince. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what your history in the Valley is here. And then let's talk about how you made your way to Family Tech Connect.
Sure. Well, in 1999, I was recruited by WYTV to come out and be the station's main anchor. My wife and I are originally from New England, the Boston area. And we had been at various TV stations in Massachusetts, Maine, and New Hampshire. And I got the offer to come and check out YTV. So I did that for about 8 years. I was the main anchor at YTV. Loved it, loved it, loved it. A lot of people know me from having co-anchored with Pam Serrano for a while, and then later with Angie Shaker. We had a good team, and we had a great time doing that. And then when our station sold and there was a reshuffling, there was a decision to be made. My wife and I had to make, do we move on, which is very common in the TV business. People move constantly for their career. Absolutely. Or do we stay put? And a lot of people at the time were asking me, well, why would you want to stay in the greater Youngstown area, right? But what we came to realize very quickly is that this is a very special community. And we loved our Boardman community. We live in Boardman. We love having access to the park. We love the people we met. My kids were having a wonderful time in their school, which were and are great schools. So we saw no reason to leave. So we ended up staying. So from there, I did some time working with a local marketing and PR firm as their vice president. I did a little work on my own and done other jobs in communications until we had the idea for Family Tech Connect. What I'm working on now with my two sons, Lucas and Nate.
Yeah, and I think that your story so illustrates how special the Mahoning Valley is. There's so many people that move here and, at first might not really understand our culture or know what the Valley's all about. And then once you get here and realize it's really a great place for people to call home. It's a great place to raise a family. We're right between two major cities. So I'm grateful that you and Lori made the decision to keep the boys here and raise them here.
I am too. They love it here. They've made wonderful lives for themselves. My older son graduated from YSU, and he's working right now. And my younger son is a junior at YSU, getting ready to graduate. He's just on the dean's list, doing phenomenally well.
Congratulations!
Yeah, thanks. It's nice when your kids achieve. It really gives you a good feeling.
Absolutely. And, before we started the show today, Vince and I were talking about how the, Mahoning Valley is a very special place when you talk about our seniors. A lot of people don't realize this, but the Youngstown Warren area does have a larger concentration of people over the age of 65 per capita comparatively to other places in the United States. So we are a great place to age as well, apparently, Vince. And so what I love about what Vince and his boys have done is they've brought a service that is something that our viewers can definitely use. I don't necessarily think you have to be a senior, but it is definitely a service that's tailored to our senior citizens. And so I don't want to steal your thunder, Vince. Tell us a little bit about what you all do at Family Tech Connect.
Sure, no. And you're right. This is a service for really anybody that doesn't feel they're very tech literate, okay? Which could include a lot of 50-something like myself. I mean, I struggle with it. But we decided early on that we wanted to focus on seniors and for two very specific reasons. The first one is named Mary Joyce. She's 77 years old. She lives in Florida. She's a retired teacher and a mother of 5, and I happen to be her oldest, okay? The second one is Joe, who's 83, I think. The guy lies about his age pretty often, also lives in Florida, and he is the father of my wife. He's my father-in-law. So in the case of my mom, she was somebody who just was very averse to learning new technology, okay? I got her an iPad, not an iPad, excuse me, I got her a Kindle one Christmas because she's an avid reader, has literally hundreds of books all over her home, heavy books, and every time they move around, they have to box up and move it. And so I said to her, you could put 10,000 books on this and you can read I came down the one Christmas, gave it to her, tried to teach her how to use it. Problem is, in that setting, she wanted to visit with her son. She didn't want to learn a new skill. It just never happened. So when the pandemic hit, I hadn't seen my mom for a while, and I couldn't go see her because she's not well. My mom, unfortunately, is dealing with a couple of health issues that are pretty serious, one of which is a benign cyst that are in her lungs, which really leave her short of breath. So the idea of bringing COVID to her, which
Yeah.
would attack her system and really put her at risk, was unacceptable. So I called my mom, and she'll tell you I don't call as often as I should, but I call. And but there's no replacement for putting your eyes on somebody and seeing how they're doing. My mom is not well, so I want to see her. I want to see if she's energetic, if her color's good, if she seems happy and comfortable. And not having that when you're at a distance is really maddening. So we tried to set up a Zoom call this would be last June or July, last summer, right in the height of the pandemic. And it just was going nowhere. I mean, my poor parent just fumbled with it badly, even though we went over and over and over to the phone call beforehand. And my nephew, thank goodness, was at the home, was able to save the call. And it really got me thinking, this is not overly difficult stuff. I know it's hard to absorb sometimes, but if somebody other than her son could teach her, maybe we have something here. The other thing with my father-in-law, Joe, is he's a super successful guy. He's still working, by the way, at 80.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He's physically he's in great shape, moves around well, very sharp mentally. He does business with overseas companies. Used to travel, not so much anymore. And he's interested in technology. He sells wire and cable, and he loves new medical technology. So all the robotic devices that are used in surgery, they require specialized cable. So my father-in-law studies this stuff. He's up to speed on all this great emerging cutting edge technology, and he can't send an email. I mean, the guy had a secretary when he was in an office setting, but now that he's kind of doing it on his own, he has trouble. And he would call my son, who graduated with an IT degree from Youngstown State. And Lucas, how do I attach something to an email?
Right.
Hey, Lucas, how do I fix this? I can't tell if I sent my email or not. All of this, and my son's happy to do it. So he would spend time with him on the phone and run him through whatever the issue was and get it resolved. And my father-in-law would say from time to time, "Hey, you guys, between Lucas's IT skills and my other son Neil, his social media skills, and he's a salesman. He's a born salesman. He's a good connection person. He makes connection with people. And then I have a background in marketing and journalism, so I have some business. He said the three of you should really have a service where you help senior citizens learn how to use their electronic devices, phones, tablets, computers, what have you, and learn how to use apps so they can get online and connect with them."
Right.
And I kept, Joe, that's not something we want to do. That's not a good idea. And then, while we're in the pandemic, and I'm reading about these poor seniors who are isolated because they can't visit physically with the people they care about.
Right.
And they don't have the skills to visit with them digitally. So now they're just alone. And being alone is no way to live. It occurred to me, hey, wait a minute. This is a service that people could use, because we know seniors are, thank goodness, living longer, healthier lives. And there's no reason they can't participate in what the rest of us are participating in.
Absolutely.
So
And I think especially, I didn't mean to interrupt you, I'm sorry, especially during the times of COVID though, we had a guest on the show a couple months ago, Dr. Adam Earnhardt, who is a professor at YSU and an expert in social media. And we talked a lot about the growth of electronic use and digital use and social media, and more people using mobile devices as a result of that isolation. We were all forced to shelter in place, and there's still, some of those restrictions are still in place. So you saw this huge increase, and the biggest increase that you saw was in that senior population, age 65 and older. And I know I was just reading a piece yesterday where there was a communications firm that had done some research, and they said that prior to the pandemic, that 4 out of 10 seniors age 65 and over were saying that they felt that they might start to use digital communication a little bit more and pick up social media. And that now they just finished this study last month, and now they're saying 8 out of 10 seniors are saying that they want to, that they see themselves in the future using these devices and using social media. So I think there's definitely a desire there in that population, and it probably, COVID brought that out in them probably more than maybe even what we expected. But I definitely think there's the desire. But like you said, it's that learning curve of, I don't want my son to teach me because we're not going to see eye to eye. I need somebody else to come in, and it's hard to do that when you can't be side by side, or you can't, find a way to connect.
Right.
We're virtual today, and that works great for us, Vince, because you and I already have, some concept of how to use these devices. But for us to say, hey, let's jump on a Zoom call and you can teach, somebody how to do something, that might not translate for that population.
No, it's different learning styles, and I agree with you. I've read the same studies that talk about how seniors want these skills. But then there are corresponding studies, especially there was one that the Pew Research Center did, which talked about all the obstacles that are in the way.
Absolutely.
First of all, seniors, they exist in a digital divide. My kids being in their 20s, when new technology comes out, they intuitively know how to use it.
Right.
They put their hands on it. Their brains have been wired differently because they've lived different lives. They've grown up with the technology. So there's really something to that, and they pick it up very, very easily. I struggle. I have to learn as I go along. Those in the 65 and older category, they didn't have that experience. So there's no intuitive easy way to learn it. They need to be shown how to learn it. And you're right. People ask me, well, why don't you just do videos, put YouTube videos on, teaching people how to do this. My thought is, if they could do that, if they could access YouTube videos, they wouldn't need the service. They'd already have some tech literacy. But there are all these obstacles, and a lot of seniors, according to the research, they become very frustrated easily because they don't understand the terminology. So if somebody is going to throw all this jargon at them, they're going to shut down.
Right.
And they don't appreciate the fact that everybody learns this stuff so quickly, they feel like they're being left behind. So at Family Tech Connect, our philosophy is to teach at the students, the client's pace. We go slowly, knowing that we assume that everybody's starting at square one, that they have no tech literacy. Because if we make an assumption that they know something, we've already moved past them, and that's not acceptable. And we go slowly to bring them to a point where they can use the technology comfortably. Because it's one thing to have just a basic understanding of it, but if you don't know how to use it regularly, like you can use a telephone, it needs to be that comfortable and easy. That's our goal. And we're very comfortable with the idea of repeating concepts and making sure that people have it, because this is new to them and it's difficult. And I've been in the situation too, where I've been shown something, and if I don't use it for a couple months, I have to go back and say, could you show me again? Because I forgot it, right? So I agree with you that the learning style is very important. People need to have that contact, especially our seniors, because that's how they're used to learning. They're used to having somebody show them in person. And that's what we're set up to do when we can do it safely. Now, I'm very happy. My sons and I are all vaccinated. We still do mask wearing, and until this is well behind us, we'll continue to do that. But as long as it's safe, we want to be in the room with them, showing them so we can answer questions. And it surprises me every time, because the questions they ask are usually not the ones I've anticipated. They have got a different understanding of the technology. So it's good to be able to answer it in their perspective versus what we think they should know.
Absolutely. And I know when you and I had a chance to sit down and talk a lot about Family Tech Connect and exactly what you and the boys are up to, I was delighted by the number of options that you have come up with to offer the public to teach these tech literacy skills. Not everybody is going to want to be in a group setting. Not everybody's going to want one-on-one. So I want to talk a little bit about the services that you offer so that our viewers can get a better idea. So where would you like to start? I'm going to let you start walking us through the services.
Absolutely. Well, we consider ourselves tech coaches for seniors, to put it simply. Okay, our idea is to coach seniors in the easiest, most comfortable setting possible. So we have a couple of very discrete services. We do offer classes when that can be done safely. And right now we're doing that primarily in facilities that are senior living facilities, because they've already got the setup for it and they know that certain residents have been cleared for that, and it's safe to do it, that sort of thing. We have not scheduled these for the general public yet, but as soon as we get a sense that that can be done in compliance with all the safety guidelines, we will eventually be hosting them at various public sites in the Valley. We'll advertise them in advance where people can come in a group setting, because some people like to learn with their friends. Some people, it's fun to go with a couple of friends, whether they're family or just shopping buddies or people you hang out with, and you do the class together. That makes it more fun for people. So in that setting, we develop a curriculum where we will teach them what we think that they should know. Obviously we have to start with the basics, email, texting, because you need an email address for anything. But beyond that, we can get into social media, we can get into internet safety, which is very important for seniors. We can get into video conferencing like you and I are doing right now, lots of other things. So there are classes that we offer both in private settings and in public settings. Then we talk about individual coaching, which is really key, because again, as I mentioned, everybody learns differently. And our goal is not to turn out 75-year-old IT professionals, okay? Most of the people we work with, they've had careers. They don't want a second one. They're looking to learn some very specific things. And they don't want to be burdened with the rest of it, because why would you? They're not, they have their needs. They are in charge of their lives. They know what they want. So when we do individual coaching, we're going, and this is where we differ with some other services that are in the community. We will go to a client's home, or if they feel more comfortable, to a public place like a coffee shop or whatnot. And everything is focused on what the client wants to learn. The client's having a specific problem with the device, they bring the device, we work it through with them, show them how to improve their skills on it, fix whatever the issue is, if it's a software issue. That is a service that is very specialized. And we do that on purpose because we really want to make sure that people are getting the absolute most out of it. And because it is specialized, we don't force people to do what they don't want to do. So if somebody wants to hire us one time, they got one issue, great, we'll come, we'll fix it up, we'll part as friends. If somebody has, they consistently have issues with various devices, or they just want to have some more reinforcement, we're happy to schedule more sessions, whether it's on a regular basis or a couple here, a couple there. It's all a la carte, so people can do what they want and they don't feel stuck. We do offer some bundles so that people can save some money if they want to do it that way. But again, we really wanted to make this as flexible and as customer driven as possible. And then the last service, and again, these are all, because we're new, Danielle, we're just starting out. We're only offering a few services now until we kind of figure out what the marketplace wants, and we'll grow when we see other demand. But we do know that there are a lot of seniors that either have outdated equipment or no equipment at all. So if you don't have the devices, you can't participate in any of this. So we offer what's called the device curation service, because I don't know about you, but I've gone shopping for computers, for cell phones, for tablets, and the experience is maddening. There's so many choices. There's a lot of technical information that I don't understand. My son does, but I don't. And it takes a long time. The process takes a long time, and people don't like the process, let alone just figuring out the device. So if somebody wants, we will buy a device on their behalf. We'll meet with them beforehand, figure out what their needs are, what they most likely would enjoy using, make a recommendation. Client says, okay, I want that. We'll get it. We'll set it up. We'll do the warranty on it. We'll download and install whatever apps they want, and we'll spend some time giving them an orientation on how to use it. Or if a client really doesn't want to own it, they kind of want to see if it's for them, we do offer a leasing service, where primarily tablets, because with cell phones it's a whole different game. We can teach people how to use their phone, but we don't want to get them set up, because then you got to deal with AT&T and Verizon and all that.
Sure.
We can help with that, but we're not a cell phone service. But anyways, we can lease tablets to people for a low monthly fee, so that they can have that experience, but don't own the equipment. And we do ours where after 6 months, it's month to month. So if somebody has it and they're like, you know what, I'm really not using it, they give it back, and that's that. So those are our very specific services. We have tried our best to make them flexible and make them very easy to access. But what we're already finding finding is that we get some stuff that's a little bit outside our area. We had a coaching call the other day from a woman who wanted help setting up her smart TV. That's not a service we listed. We didn't anticipate it, but we know how to do it. So I sent my sons out there and they got it squared away. So if it's based in technology, and more specifically communications technology, we'll be glad to see if we can help out.
Yeah, and it's as we're talking through, I know that I know more than our viewers, so I can take some certain assumptions that they might not. But from what I'm hearing, then it's appropriate for me to call you, Vince, if A, I want to learn about how to use my device, or if B, I just don't know how to hook up this wireless printer and somebody needs to
Yes,
come work
yes,
through that.
both are true. We never intended to be kind of a full service IT. We saw ourselves as more of an educational service,
Mhm.
but because we have those skills, we can do some IT work as well. So yes, we can
Yeah.
do all the above.
Yeah, and it's funny when we first met, I thought of a couple of people this would be a great gift for, that like you said, I try to coach and my approach might not work or I might be the wrong person. And so I thought what a great gift this would be. But thinking through scenarios that I've seen with family members, with friends, with our own residents, I mean, this is such a needed service. And to know that, you guys will fly in like Superman and kind of get the printer up and running for me and then show me how to use the printer so I can print it.
Yes.
I think that is great. One of the things you didn't mention, one of your services you didn't mention that I wanted to make sure our viewers were aware of was the helpline. So you guys have a
Yes.
helpline as
We do.
well. So, if I get into a pickle and I'm in trouble, and I can't work my way out of it after our one-on-one session or our group class, then there's a helpline for us to reach out to. So how does that work? Is that staffed 24 hours a day or do I need an appointment? How does that work?
Yeah, thank you for mentioning it because we do offer the phone helpline for people. Yeah, it is by appointment because it's my two sons and I that are working it now. So people can call, text, or email at any time, and we'll get back. We'll schedule a time, and then they'll have typically we think that these will probably be up to a half hour. But if somebody needs, I think if somebody needs longer than that, they probably need us to be out there in person. But the phone support is a great way of somebody just either reinforcing something. If we went out a couple months ago, like I said, and they don't remember, hey, what is it I got to hit to get back to the screen? No problem, we'll give you that. Or if it's dealing with a smaller issue that doesn't really warrant a home visit, yeah, it's a great way to get that help. So we'll schedule that at their convenience. If we get a lot of people using the service, I have no opposition to make it both real time and with more staff so we can do longer hours. We're committed to developing this in a way that serves the Mahoning Valley seniors best. So if they're telling us they need more, we'll find a way to give them more for sure.
Great. And I think that's one of my favorite things about your company is that, we are constantly looking for these type of services for our residents and we haven't had much luck finding the right fit. And one of the words that keeps coming up is flexibility, and I think it's so important that when you're trying to learn a new skill, you have someone who meets you at your level and kind of teaches you from where you're at. And also, like you said, teaches specifically to what I'm interested in. If I'm not using a desktop computer and I have no interest and I don't own one, I don't need to know how to turn it on and how to operate it. I just need to worry about, my telephone or my tablet or whatever the device might be. And I just think that, it speaks a lot to the company to hear that you're flexible and that you want to listen to what your clients need and then, develop programming in response to that. So, I applaud your flexibility and your willingness on that, Vince, because
Thank
that's
you.
a big undertaking, but that's fantastic.
We care about it to the extent that my younger son's official title within the company is Chief Experience Officer. His job as we go along is to make sure that our clients don't just like the service, we want them to love it. We want them to feel like they got way more than their money's worth when they did this. So yeah, to what you're saying about serving our clients, we really will make sure that for example, our classes, I have been through way too many lectures in my life. And as a former broadcaster, I'll admit, when I'm out speaking in public, like a lot of former broadcasters, you fall in love with the sound of your voice very quickly. So you start droning on and on, right? we make sure that our classes are as interactive as possible. There are assignments for them to do, lots of Q&A sessions so people can ask questions. We want it to be something that people enjoy doing. This does not have to be drudgery. This is supposed to be fun. All of this stuff, talking to your friends on Facebook or doing a Zoom call with your loved ones, that's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be stressful. And that's really where we're trying to go. And if I could throw in one other thing, Danielle, really the thing that drives this even more is we really believe that none of this, and it may sound kind of superficial, especially as we're coming out of the pandemic and people don't have to isolate as much. People are like, well, why do you even need these skills? We just know that the way the world works, first of all, the ending of the pandemic doesn't end the need.
Absolutely.
Not going back. We're still going to be using these services. And these are things that are, I think, crucial parts of healthy aging. I don't think you can get the most out of those senior years unless you have some level of tech literacy. If you don't know how to use devices, you're missing out on telehealth visits and food delivery and Amazon delivery and social media experience. There's just a lot of things that we do now through our devices. And it's really not optional. And there are studies that bear this out, especially as the technology continues to grow and becomes even a more relevant part of our lives, a bigger part of our lives. It will become not optional, but necessary to have tech skills in order to get the most out of your aging.
Oh, absolutely. I would definitely agree. And, we talked briefly again before the call about, why are these skills so important? And you spoke very eloquently to that. But I do agree with you. I think that a lot of the concepts and ideas and devices and programming that's come out of COVID is here to stay, like this Zoom meeting. I think that, people are learning to connect online, and it's easy, and it's sometimes in some cases it's faster. And I think that that's going to continue. We see that a lot of our younger generation here in Youngstown goes away to school. Sometimes they come back, sometimes they raise their family somewhere else. And I think that, one of the cooler things that I think about social media is that ability to keep all of us in contact. There's people from different parts of my life that I probably wouldn't still be in communication with if it wasn't for social media. And so for our seniors who might not be able to get around as easily as they used to, such as in your in-laws and your own parents' case, I think it's such a great way for them to stay connected with their kids and their grandkids, and, to see the videos and the pictures that are being posted, and to be able to have these face-to-face conversations. I wish there had been a FaceTime option when I was in college, so that those weekly calls to my mom and my grandma and, all my family would have been face-to-face, but we didn't have that. And so now that we do, we should definitely try to take advantage of that as much as possible.
And I don't want to overstate this, but the reality is this, and this is why really my whole career has been in communications, either journalism or public relations or marketing. These are all basically communications disciplines. The ability to connect with other people it is a human need. There have been studies done, and some of the more famous ones have been done with prisoners who are in isolation, for example. You will deteriorate as a person, mentally and physically, when you are starved of that communication connection. You have to be able to connect with people. It is a driving need among humans. So we need to foster that. We need to make it easier. We need to make it more accessible. We need to have more options, because it's a part of what fulfills us. We are happier when we're connected with other people. We have other people in our lives. We are more fulfilled.
Absolutely.
We learn things, our mood improves. And conversely, we know that people who are in isolation, they suffer from all kinds of health risks, including increased risk for heart disease, for stroke, for Alzheimer's. The Alzheimer's risk doubles when you don't have healthy social connections. So it's info@Family Tech Connect. It's all together, and tech is spelled TECH, FamilyTechConnect.com.
Perfect. So if anybody has any questions, please make sure to reach out to Vince. He would love to have you for a one-on-one session or in a group class. Vince, it's been wonderful talking with you today. Shepherd of the Valley is going to be hosting some of your classes here as soon as things are a little bit safer, and we'll make sure to get that information out to the public as well.
That's
Until next
fantastic.
time, everyone, we hope you all have a great day. Please stay safe and please reach out to Vince and his team so they can help you with your tech literacy. Thank you, Vince.
Thank you, Danielle.